Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to another Spurs Talk Show video. I hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things that you love with those you love to do them with. Please do me a favor. If you enjoy this content, at the end of it, please don't forget to smash the like button, smash the subscribe and all that stuff. Notification bell buttons and comments should be dropped. Really appreciate all of the love you're showing the channel this last, well, forever really, but in the last couple of months, it's been gangbusters. I'm so appreciative. Please do help me out. We've got some stories to talk to you about. Ilya ZABANYI, the player that I thought that had already left Bournemouth, if I'm entirely honest. I'm pretty sure that he was already going to PSG. Well, he hasn't gone to PSG. And this morning, Tottenham Hotspur today, Tottenham Hotspur are linked with the player, the centre-back. Right-sided, right-footed centre-back. He's very talented, incredibly talented. And we're going to get to that story, look at his stats. At the same time, as we speak right now, Thomas Frank is doing his first sort of, I think it's a pre-match press conference, I guess, on Spurs play with regards the friendly tomorrow, which I will be at in Reading. So look out for some content from me there, some match day content. But we're going to talk about ZABANYI first and a couple of things about Morgan Gibbs-White, some other updates. Please do let me know what your thoughts are on the show. Let's start with the ZABANYI story, shall we? Here we go. Tottenham, according to Gianluca Di Marzio, a player that you take seriously, although he's usually more well known for his Italian football stuff, but he's come out with this one saying that Tottenham are interested in Bournemouth defender Ilya ZABANYI and are attempting to hijack Paris Saint-Germain's move for him. That's according to Di Marzio, who reports that Tottenham are willing to pay Bournemouth's €70 million asking price for the centre-back. Di Marzio reports that Tottenham are attempting to sign. Let me get my proper frameworks here done. That Tottenham are attempting to sign ZABANYI this summer as they continue to spend big for their new manager, Thomas Frank. They have indicated they'd be willing to match the €70 million asking price for the defender, which includes bonuses. That is something PSG are yet to do. They've been chasing the Ukrainian for months, but have so far only sent offers worth around €60 million, all of which have been rejected by Bournemouth. The defender's priority is to secure a move to Paris, but it remains to be seen whether the Champions League holders will make another bid or match Bournemouth's demands. Various reports have indicated ZABANYI already has a personal agreement in place with PSG. There is the prospect that ZABANYI will be open to Tottenham if there is no progress with PSG, but it seems that is yet to happen. Instead, Tottenham have inserted themselves into the race and shown a willingness to spend, something the French giants are yet to do. Well, look, I think PSG have made a lot of money out of the Club World Cup. They made a lot of money out of the Champions League. They are one of, I think, if not then the second highest revenue generating team in Europe. So they do have a huge wage bill. They have a huge amount of spend, a lot of money coming in that club and a lot of money going out. However, I'm not sure that there's any notion at the moment that they're in any kind of any problems. If there are any problems that I'm not aware of with their financials, then maybe they're waiting for some sort of resolution to the Kolo Muani deal with Juve, and Juve is like a house being sold, stuck in a chain. Are they waiting to be able to move on or cut the wage cost of someone like Dusan Vlahovic, who might be coming to Tottenham or elsewhere in the Premier League? Maybe also getting rid of a player, not that they necessarily are involved in any kind of positional disputes here, but a player like Douglas Luiz as well, getting that stuff off the wages, getting some money in from there that can then allow them to fulfill the payment for Kolo Muani, which can then throw some money into PSG's coffers. As I say, it doesn't really make much sense, but that's, I guess, the argument that you would make. And if so, then they would maybe formalise the purchase of Ilya ZABANYI. For what it's worth, I'm just going to pivot quickly to talk about the player, because I don't think there's much time. There's not much point in spending too much time on this. But this is an example, guys, of a player that statistics don't really sort of stand up to the player that we know him to be. Ilya ZABANYI is 22 years old, is Ukrainian from Kiev, 189, about 6'3" tall. He's a right-footed, right-sided centre-back. Yes, he can play on the left if absolutely necessary. Super talent. I don't need to convince you. I'm sure you know how great he is. You've seen Bournemouth all last year. But if you actually look at the stats, he doesn't really it doesn't tell a fantastic tale, apart from, things like ball recoveries are particularly impressive. 4.5 ball recoveries per game. He's in the top 81 percentile for that. He's a relatively fairly disciplined, well-disciplined person. He's been dispossessed very little time when he does carry the ball out, and for what it's worth, he is someone that does when he does carry the ball out a few times a game, not very often relative to other centre-backs, but that's because of the way that Bournemouth have played. And at the same time, when he does, he's actually carried them far further than the majority of people that would technically carry the ball as well or as often as he does, or more often. He is someone that's very handy at being able to read the game, right? And you can see this sort of thing in the metric of dribblers tackled and dribblers challenged. He's not a problem. He can go, he can lean. If someone's running at him, he can sort of track back and sort of do that stuff from a higher line now that Bournemouth are playing in that way. I'm an absolute fan of Yves Bissouma. Of course, I would absolutely love him. But this is one of those sort of demonstrations that if you were to not be aware of who this guy is and you were to just to scroll through these stats, you'd probably come to the conclusion that he's not for you. But as you and I probably all know, that ZABANYI is one of the top-rated centre-backs in the game. And so that's why you have to kind of mix the stats that FBref shows you with the insights that Y-Scout can bring to you, and obviously your own eyes and your own attention. I'd love to see it happen, but for me, the story is a little bit silly because the only way it makes any sense at all, in my opinion, guys, is in a world where Romero leaves, but Romero isn't leaving because there's no real clubs that are coming in for him other than Real Madrid, who have set their sights on Ibrahim Konate from Liverpool, and that those negotiations are probably going to be drawn out until the end of the summer, but may or may not otherwise happen. And they may require Liverpool to be able to get a deal done for someone like a Mark Gahey from Liverpool, who already turned us down. If Tottenham are really going to be participating in this negotiation, then you have to kind of sort of square the circle of where does he fit. If you're going to replace a Romero with a player like ZABANYI, fine, that makes sense. If you're not, if Romero is staying, which is what all of the reports are suggesting, then ZABANYI is not going to come in and play second fiddle. He's going to want to go to PSG where he can start. He's, according to all those reports, he's already on top of that, so you've agreed terms. You've also got Kevin Danso behind him, who's more than capable, and you have behind him an injured Dragicin, who I think, as I said before, in a lower-lying sort of Thomas Frank scenario, he's going to be far more able to potentially reach the standards and the potential that that people sold us on the idea that he had when he came to Tottenham. And in an Ange Postecoglou system, it didn't make much sense. I don't see ZABANYI playing on the left-hand side behind Micky van der Ven, although he is capable of doing it. I think you could call him two-footed, but for me, he's a right-footed player predominantly, and someone that I think is probably more of a natural sort of right side. But we shall see. We shall see. I don't believe it personally is ever going to happen, but we'll move on. There's a story here regarding Daniel Levy's takes on Morgan Gibbs-White from Barad Tiramalai that we're going to talk about just now for 2 seconds, guys. And that is as follows. It says that journalist Ben Jacobs has provided an interesting update about Nottingham Forest's attempts to prevent Morgan Gibbs-White from joining Tottenham Hotspur, and has also shed light on what Daniel Levy is thinking about the transfer. Journalist Ben Jacobs spoke on the Last Word on Spurs podcast that they have not officially taken legal action. He also confirms that the Premier League are not officially investigating Spurs' alleged illegal, quote-unquote, approach. He said that he makes it clear that Tottenham are sticking to their position, with Daniel Levy and his legal team of the opinion they have done absolutely nothing wrong. The journalist adds that the Spurs chairman believes that the triggering of Gibbs-White's release clause was legitimate and expects the deal to eventually get done. I'm getting a little bit bored of talking about it, to be entirely honest, guys. I really am getting a little bit bored of talking about it. I wanted to sort of bring to you a couple of little takes here, because the last thing I want to show you is about Thomas Frank. As I say, his stance or his pre-match press conference. I haven't got it live to show you, but I do have the quotes that are coming through on Twitter. I just want to quickly show you a story from the Evening Standard that says Thomas Frank says the risk of being sacked drove his desire to join Spurs. I've never been sacked before, he said, laughing. That's one of the reasons I took the job. I wanted some more risks in my daily life. I like the ambitions. Every decision I've done is for the long term. It's not about surviving 1 year or 18 months. It's the long run. Leaving Brentford was very difficult because I'm a person that goes all in when I'm in work. Work, friendship, marriage, whatever it is, when you go all in, you get attached. I had a fantastic time at Brentford, fantastic people, but I also felt that maybe it was time to challenge myself and get another opportunity. When a club of Tottenham's magnitude are knocking at your door, I couldn't turn it down. This was obviously from the Evening Standard from last night. Let's find out right now, guys, what is coming out from the quotes. And we have them right here for us. So let's take a quick little look-see. And it says, let me go back to the very start of this. Where are we? Just quickly on this one, Luca Bendoni is saying Tottenham are interested in centre-back ZABANYI and would be ready to match Bournemouth's request fee of 70 million euros, including add-ons, if the player is open to the potential move. I'm not sure who Luca Bendoni works for. He's the guy from Di Marzio. Okay, fair enough. Perfect. Let's move on. Thomas Frank on Son and Romero. This is literally from the last sort of 25 minutes, half an hour ago. Two top players, both have trained very well and set the standards. Both will play tomorrow, and I'm very happy. So we're seeing Romero and Sonny. Nice to see that they're playing tomorrow. Oh, hang on. Sorry, guys. Let's move on to the next bit here. Thomas Frank on who he will name Spurs captain. I haven't decided on that yet. I have a long list of bullet points to get through. He was captain last season, and tomorrow we'll have 45 minutes of Son and Romero, who will be captains in both. That's interesting. So obviously, if both of those people are staying, then I think that it's one of those two. Thomas Frank hasn't decided yet. It leans into me. I still would make the argument, guys, that Thomas Frank is a manager who's probably going to think about the best rather than the short term. And I think that Romero will probably get it if he stays. I think Sonny will leave after the... I personally think he should as well. I'm not sure if he will, but I think he should leave after the South Korean trip. And then that opens us up to a late window surge for another left winger on the forward side. Someone, as I said before, that I think would be absolutely sensational in that regard would be someone like Ademola Lookman. I know no one's interested in Alejandro Garnacho, but if you're looking for players that are take-on specialists that can do a little bit of everything and are versatile, for me, I like the guy. Lookman, I wouldn't mind it whatsoever. There's other players out there, though. We'll talk about that in the future. Injury updates from Thomas Frank. James Maddison is in part training with the team, which is a positive step. Dragusin and Kulusevski are a little bit further away from returning. Be lovely to start the season without any injuries. Apart from those two, Dragusin and Kulusevski won't be back until probably later on in the year. Thomas Frank on Morgan Gibbs-White. I've always said that I won't speak about players from outside the club. Shows you where we're at with that. Nervous, but not necessarily entirely absent. Thomas Frank on what it means to be Spurs manager. I'm very proud to sit in this chair and be a part of the next chapter in Tottenham's history. I'll do everything every day to hopefully take this club to new heights. That's the ambition. I wouldn't do it if I didn't have big ambitions. And Thomas Frank on his goals for the season. The first aim is that we need to be able to compete in all 4 competitions. Is that a little sly dig? His predecessor after saying we're going to sit on your shoulders, Ange. We said the first aim was to do what you couldn't do, which is not have to deprioritize competitions to get it done. Guys, that's it, a little bit for you. I didn't want to spend too much time on this one, but ZABANYI, that's the big news. Normally I'd be like, oh my God. You know what I'm like? I'm a little bit shameless. But at the same time, I just don't see it really being relevant. I think he wants to go to PSG. And unless Romero's leaving, and if Romero leaves and ZABANYI comes in, Ratata, very much all over it. I think the guy's a cracking centre-back. But take note, look at the stats in future. Remember that the stats don't tell you everything, because if you've been watching ZABANYI, you know how good he is, but the stats don't necessarily show you that because of the context and the environment in which they play. ZABANYI to Spurs, let me know your thoughts. Gibbs-White, still waiting to know. We don't know what's going on. One thing is that there is a story there that people are saying that Forest are contractually obligated to let Gibbs-White leave. So I'm going to stick to my guns. Gibbs-White's going to be a Tottenham player. Kudus is a Tottenham player. Will Romero and will Sonny be Tottenham players? If so, then what does that mean for our transfer strategy? If not, what does that mean for our transfer strategy? Let me know in the comments, guys. I'll see you later on for a live stream in a few hours' time. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.